You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
So I was thinking, every once in a while somebody goes, hey, if you could take any Marvel character, make your own TV show based on him, your own Disney Plus show, which one would you take? And I was trying to think of a character that they haven't done that I think I could have a lot of fun with, and also that would drive the costuming department absolutely insane. That last part's just me. But I was thinking Jack of Hearts. I remember reading Jack of Hearts when I was a kid and really liking the character. Now, if you're not familiar with him, Jack of Hearts first appeared in The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, number 22, way back in March of 1976, created by Bill Mantlo and Keith Giffen. He started his own 4-issue miniseries, which I had and loved. He's been a regular character in the Iron Man comics, as well at one point being an Avenger. And the best part is his real name is Jack Hart. The only difference is no E in the spelling of his last name. He's the son of a scientist, oddly enough, named Phil Hart, created the creator of Zero Fluid. And his mother was an alien woman from the Contraxian race. And as a young man, Jack was doused with this Zero Fluid that his dad had made, which gave him superpowers, but he wasn't able to control them. So in an attempt to regulate his powers, and his powers are pretty intense, he built a containment suit that, and I love this, resembled the Jack of Hearts playing card. Every artist who's worked on this character has hated his costume, but they've never changed it. It's one of the most obscure and difficult costumes to draw. Now, the lack of control became a recurring theme for the character, including his stint with the Avengers, where he had to spend 14 hours a day in a containment room to prevent self-destruction. And when his powers became too uncontrollable, he actually left Earth and exploded in space without harming any innocent bystanders. Now, he returned later on, and it was his explosion is what killed Scott Lang and was the start of Avengers Disassembled back in 2004 and 2005. So, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go do a Jack of Hearts Disney Plus series. I think that would be a lot of fun. Marvel, call me. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It's April 19th, and we've got a fun show today. We're going to be covering the news. We're going to take a look at WandaVision now a couple years later, and we're going to do some key collectibles that tie into WandaVision, the appearances of Scarlet Witch and Vision. So that's our lineup for today. But before I get started, since I see that Ed is here, by the way, hello Ed, hello Cool, hello Canonus, and hello Triple B. But since Ed is here and he's a big proponent of my odd crocheting hobby, I thought I would show off my latest creation, which is something you guys might actually be interested in. It's a dice bag. So you can get quite a few dice in it, probably a good 4 sets, 28, maybe even 35 dice. It's got the drawstring. I'm getting some little plastic clips to make the drawstrings work better. But yeah, and I was able to put this together in just a few hours. So it has a nice set bottom so it doesn't tip over very easily. So yep, that's my latest thing. So I guess I'm getting closer and closer to actually having an Etsy store. So it's a weird, odd hobby I picked up a year ago, but Oh, thank you, Canonus. Yeah, so look for more of those soon and some other stuff. Also, remember the soap sacks? I bought some red, white, and green yarn so I could do some Christmas soap sacks or Christmas soap stockings, I may call them, that may also get to the Etsy store if I do go through with that. So, all right, let's go ahead and get to the comic related stuff. Let's see, comic headlines. Wow, we got a title there. All right. Um, let's see. Start with the comic headlines since that's what we put up because it's also pop culture and movie news. But from small screen to comic page. Now, this isn't something new. A few characters have been introduced outside of comics and then showed up joining their four-colored counterparts. These include like Harley Quinn, Livewire, Agent Phil Coulson. They were all created outside of comics and then brought in. Allison Mack's character from Smallville was another one. Now, Jimmy Olsen, I'm pretty sure, was created in the Superman radio show and then brought into the comics as well. So it's something that has happened, but this is the first time we're going to get somebody created in a Marvel Disney Plus series brought in, and it's actually a hero. Because, I mean, before it's been like supporting characters or villains, stuff like that. This is the first hero that I know of that is being created outside of comics, and that is the Scarlet Scarab. Now, she's going to be appearing in a new Moon Knight story arc called The City of the Dead, being written by David Pepose and art by Marcelo Ferreira. And the new story features Layla El Faouli, and it'll be her superhero debut as the Scarlet Scarab. Now, this character was created in the Disney Plus series, but the name was already a character in the Marvel Comics. But it was an older character that actually teamed up with the Invaders at one point and then worked against the Invaders at another point. So and it was a male character. So this iteration of the character was created in the 6-part series and will be coming into the comics. Now, how much of her history from the show will make it into the comics isn't clear, because part of what she did in the show was she kind of replaced Marlene, Moon Knight's love interest from the comics. So with her taking that over, it doesn't seem to be an open spot in the comics. Marlene already exists. So now, well, at least from the point of view of she's actually married to Mark Spector, which wouldn't make much sense in comics unless they get really clever. Now, Layla was played by May Kalamawi, who gained her powers near the end of the series when she became the avatar for the Egyptian hippo god Tauret. Now, still no word if we're going to get a second season of Moon Knight, but the character is expected to continue one way or another. And I have a feeling the Scarlet Scarab's going to stick around too. So, all right, what else we got? Over here we have, do you guys remember Louis the Terrier? The director who stepped in for Justin Lin on Fast X? Well, he's going to come back for the final chapter in the franchise. We don't know much about it. We haven't even seen Fast X yet, but it's said to be a companion piece for Fast X, which is going to be in theaters in the middle of May. Now, this got me. The 22-year-old franchise has gone through a lot, including Battle of Egos between Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson, the passing of Paul Walker, but it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. The 10th film will add Charlize Theron, Jason Momoa, and Brie Larson to the franchise. And we're already going to be getting Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Sung Kang, Ludacris, Alan Ritchson, Nathaniel Emmanuel, Michael Rooker, Helen Mirren, Danielle Melchior, Jordan Brewster, John Cena, Jason Statham, Rita Moreno, Leo Abello, Cardi B, and Scott Eastwood, all coming back, are expected to show up in the 10th movie. So it'll be interesting to see if it's like a two-parter type thing, so they can wrap up the franchise. Leterrier, if you're not familiar with him outside of the Fast X movie, he was the director for the Transporter franchise with Jason Statham. He did Clash of the more modern version of Clash of the Titans. He did the movie Now You See Me, and of course, The Incredible Hulk for Marvel. JD says, to be fair, when it was first released, no one could have predicted it would have become this. It really only took off with Fast Five, so really it's only a 12 years old. No, it's 22 years old. The fact that it's morphed and changed, that's all a separate thing. But the first movie came out in 2001. So basically, if you're old enough, if you're not old enough to drink, you've lived your entire life within the Fast and the Furious franchise. Yeah. All right, let's switch over to one of my favorite categories. Oh, look, another dead horse to beat. Lionsgate is currently putting together a television series based on the Twilight novels by Stephanie Meyer. While the franchise was very divisive when it came out, it was also very popular. Overall, they made $3.4 billion globally. And of course, it launched the careers of Robert Pattinson, Kristen Stewart, and Taylor Lautner. And Pattinson's now our Batman, or at least a Batman. There's a lot of Batmans out there. Now, Twilight is a hugely important IP to Lionsgate. I mean, it's one of their two biggest profile IPs, the other being the Hunger Games. And they recently moved the Twilight movies from Netflix over to Peacock, which you don't really do if you want people to see your stuff. So this is a clue of who's going to be picking up the Twilight series. But yeah, as of now, we don't know where it'll end up. Ed says, I'm a big Michael Rooker fan. It's amazing how many things he keeps popping up in. I know, I always forget. I mean, I think of him from the Guardians movies and stuff like that. And then every once in a while I have to stop and went, he was in Mallrats. That just blows my mind. All right, little MC new Peacock, where TV shows go to die. Yeah, pretty much. It was only a few weeks ago that actor Jonathan Majors was arrested for assault, and which was followed almost immediately by a statement from his lawyer saying how they had tons of evidence to clear Major's name and would be looking to get the charges dropped quickly. Well, it hasn't happened. And now the dominoes are starting to fall. He had already been removed from a large ad campaign by the U.S. Army. He was just doing the narration, and they redid all of that. Then earlier this week, he was dropped by his management team. And now we're hearing that he's been dropped from an ad campaign for the Texas Rangers baseball team and from two movies. One called The Man in My Basement, which was based on the Walter Mosley novel, and then a biopic about Otis Redding. Now, Majors is still attached to a few other projects, including the MCU, a Spike Lee film called The Understudy, and a film called 48 Hours in Vegas, where he would play Dennis Rodman. That's just a bizarre idea. Rodman's huge, by the way. I got to meet him once, and I'm 6'6", and Rodman's a little taller than me. So that's, well, now rumors are saying that he's still attached to play Kang as of now, and he's going to be in Loki season 2. But Marvel is doing a wait and see on what's going to happen next. And supposedly they've kind of looked to see about possible replacements, but aren't going to move forward until there's more evidence or clarity on the situation. So I'm hoping that whatever happens, it happens soon, because, Yeah. The Mad Respect. Well, hello, the Mad. I guess we'll just call you Mad. Okay, let's see. We're going to move on to some rumors. These are always fun. The hot rumor today comes from Daniel Richtman, or Daniel RPK, he goes by. This is a prominent scooper. This is a guy with a really good track record. So when he says it, you at least pay attention. It may not be true, but he's got really good sources. And I'd say probably more than half of what he comes up with tends to be at least partially true. And what he's reporting is that Marvel has begun negotiating with this particular actor for a particular role in the Fantastic Four. And what the report is saying is that Adam Driver is in final talks to play Reed Richards as Mr. Fantastic. Driver is one of the names that has been kind of coming up repeatedly in this process, along with John Krasinski, who played Reed Richards in the Doctor Strange movie, Penn Badgley from You, and Diego Luna is another one they've been talking about. So, and they're, it depends on the week, but they keep coming back and say, oh, well, it's going to be this guy, it's going to be that guy. All we know is the film is being directed by Matt Shakman. It's set to be in theaters February 14th, 2025. And I like that idea of a Valentine's Day movie about the first family of Marvel. But either way, the production needs to get moving pretty quickly. If they're going to take a year for post-production, it means they've got about 6 to 8 months to do this thing. Now, earlier reports also had Driver in consideration to play Doctor Doom, which personally I feel is a better match. But, I could see them also wanting to go with him as Reed Richards. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I didn't particularly like him in the Star Wars movies. I thought Kylo Ren was a horrible villain. So, but I know that he's done some other stuff. 65 is supposed to be really good. Marriage Story is supposed to be really good. So, I always, I reserve judgment until I see it. But I would expect with how things are moving forward that we should get at least a partial announcement of the cast by Comic-Con at the end of July. I'd be surprised if we don't. That would be the big news that they could come out of Comic-Con with. Let's see. Matt says 50-50 track record on Valentine's comic movies. Deadpool, Daredevil. I will defend Daredevil, but only the director's cut. The theatrical cut, no. But I actually there are things that are decent in the director's cut. It's a better film. It's not great, but it's a better film. And Deadpool is awesome. So, all right, we got another rumor. This one is having to do with the upcoming Flash movie and how the ending that people have seen during test screening so far may not be the one that they're seeing now. This is according to a scooper named Casey Walsh from Geeks Worldwide. They're saying that the movie is now complete, done, locked, which is a good thing because it's supposed to debut at CinemaCon next week. So you can expect to hear a lot more stuff coming out of that. They go on to say that the ending has been changed. Yeah, I saw Dee as opening day as well. Actually, I saw Daredevil in a group at a group of us from a convention went. The studio was doing a special promotion, and they actually had this unknown band play beforehand. Evanescence. They had them play one of the songs before the screening. That was kind of interesting. So the ending is supposed to have been changed to be more vague, and that the cameo people are talking about, and I believe the one they're talking about is that George Clooney may pop up as Batman at the ending. but they're saying that that's not quite what you think it is, and that there are other cameos. A lot of them, they refer to Speed Force cameos, which I kind of get the feeling that it's similar to the way on the CW where Barry's running through the Speed Force and you see flashes of things, no pun intended. You see little glimpses of things as he runs by. Well, these are supposed to include a CW connection, and also there's supposed to be a Dream cameo that will be what everybody is talking about. I got nothing on that. That's just what they're saying. Also, Walsh is saying that any reference to Zack Snyder's Justice League appears to have been removed. This isn't the first time we've been hearing this particular rumor. Basically, supposedly all ties to the Snyder Cut and most of the ties to the previous regime have been removed since Gunn and Safran came on board. We'll have to see how that plays out, but the movie comes out next month, so we'll finally get to see. And then finally, speaking of James Gunn, we know a tiny bit more about Superman Legacy now than we did before. The writer-director has confirmed that one of the Man of Steel's regular supporting characters will definitely be in the movie. And that's his best pal, Jimmy Olsen. When asked on Twitter if Olsen would be in the story, Gunn replied, "Of course." Now, I'd also bet we'll see Lois Lane, Perry White, and the Kents, and probably a version of Lex Luthor. I doubt that they're going to do Lex Luthor as the villain or the main villain. He may be in the background pulling strings, but I expect he'll be there at some point. But after that, I have no idea who we're going to see. All bets are off. Will it be Zod? Will it finally be Brainiac? There's some really good ones. Parasite. So hopefully they'll pick somebody hasn't been overused. And if it is Lex Luthor, I'm really, really hoping that it's something more than a real estate scam. Because if you think about it, that's all Superman. The Kevin Spacey Lex Luthor, the Gene Hackman Lex Luthor, they were both real estate scams. Mad says, Flash is my third most anticipated upcoming movie behind Spider-Verse and Evil Dead Rise. I didn't take down the info, but I got a quick glimpse on Evil Dead Rise. They're expecting it to do better, or the expectations for the film are rising on what it's going to do in the box office. So if it does, there's a good chance that this will be a relaunching of the franchise, or giving it some legs. So it's getting some really good feedback on that. JD says maybe Lex's brother, who's a famous Southwest chef, will be in it. Tex-Mex Luthor. And on that note, we're going to take our first break, and we'll come back and talk about my rewatch of WandaVision. We'll be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons: to sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic culture and sales. Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with two comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button, mainly the like button, hit that thumbs up, those things, that really helps me out. It would be appreciated, and share the link, let your friends know about this, and get them in here. Let's have more and more in the conversation. We have a great lineup today. Following this will be Comics Collectibles with Rex and John and AR Comics. And they have a interesting batch of some key collectibles popping up this week, including some Watchmen books, the original Secret Wars #1, and some really good stuff. So you want to check that out. After that will be our trivia show, 3T, with Ted Sikora will be the guest. Then we have 360 Comics and our late night program of Kicking It with Henri Compen. So stick around. We got a great lineup today. And if you pop back here tomorrow, we will be talking about the season finale of The Mandalorian. And I watched that at just after midnight last night here in LA. And it is an interesting, I loved it. I loved it because of simplicity, and it answers just a lot of stuff. And it's kind of a good happy ending, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting just heart-wrenching, and instead we got a neat happy ending. And you know what? I'm all for that. So, all right, before we get into the WandaVision, I just wanted to say that if you are a fan of Lilo and Stitch and are looking forward to the upcoming live-action movie, they have cast Courtney B. Vance as Cobra Bubbles. So just throwing that out there for you fans. Ed says, wow, just wow, such a fun finale. Yeah, Ed, I'm with you on that. There was so many good things in there. And all the people that said, well, Din has become like a supporting character in the series. This was definitely his finale. We got to see him at his best, but they also highlighted Bo and Axe, and it was all the Mandalorian love you could possibly want. So, and Grogu gets another name change. So there's your teasers if you haven't seen it yet. But we will talk about it tomorrow with all the spoilers. So just so you know. All right, let's get into the rewatch. I'm continuing doing the rewatch. Now, I'm kind of jumping back and forth. I'm watching the TV shows, and I'm doing the movies, and I'm doing the movies in chronological order. And I wasn't really planning on doing it in chronological order. I just sat down one night. I had been doing the rewatches, and I sat down one night and I don't really feel like doing one of the series. So I just decided on Captain America, which is one of my favorite MCU movies, the first Avenger, and watched it, and it's just been going there since. So I went Captain Marvel and Iron Man. But I've jumped back over to the series now, and we've already done Hawkeye, Loki, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So we're going to finish up the first year of a Disney Plus series, with the very first one, WandaVision. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't like the series when it started. I didn't like it for one very simple reason. I hate sitcoms. I don't enjoy watching shows that have people in stupid situations where, you can see that if they would just take a minute and talk to each other, it would resolve the situation. And instead, you end up with this bizarre tension thing going on. So I did not really, there were parts of the first couple episodes I did enjoy. I liked the homage to the Dick Van Dyke Show and to the Brady Bunch and to Bewitched. Those things I like because I watched those when I was a kid. I didn't love them, but like when you're homesick and it was the 1970s, those were the things that were on in the afternoon. So I got a lot of the references, but I think it also is where a lot of the negativity towards the MCU started, because there was a lot of people speculating on what that series was going to be and what should pop up. The fact that it was a sitcom thing, the fact that our kids appeared, everybody assumed that Mephisto was going to be the bad guy. There was Mephisto watches. Just about every online prognosticator, every guy and girl that follows the MCU and talks about it online was predicting Mephisto. Even me, I thought he was coming. Hey, Kenneth. Hey, Marcus. So yeah, Mephisto was the big thing, and he never pops up. He never shows. And in doing so, a lot of people got upset by that. But if you think about it, what they got upset wasn't because of how the show was. It was because it didn't do what they thought it should or what they expected. And I think that's a lot of the negativity that's out there right now. It was a pandemic watch through. Yeah. So I think a lot of the negativity is based off of what people want the MCU to be, and where they want them to go. And the truth is, like with The Mandalorian, sometimes they just go with the simpler storylines. They don't try to get it all dark and twisted the way that a lot of us are expecting it to be, because they're going for more of a general audience than they are, comic fans who are used to dark and twisted. So there was a lot of twists and turns in WandaVision, but it wasn't as far as I think a lot of people expected it to go. Now, that said, again, I had a rough time with the first couple episodes, and even when I rewatched it, I kind of skimmed through some of those episodes. It wasn't until, for me, the first two episodes were rough. The birth of the babies and through that. And then we got to the episode, which I think is, which one? Was it the third episode or the fourth episode? See, that's the key. That's the episode that changed everything for me. Episode 4. So episodes 1, 2, and 3, I did a lot of skimming through and stuff like that. And I remembered them all well enough. But, the magic act, the dinner with the hearts, those kind of things, they were all right. I got it. And I understand what they were going for. And then once you get to the rest of it, it makes a lot more sense. But, they just weren't my cup of tea in the beginning, when it just felt like they were trying to do sitcoms. Episode 4, on the other hand, was freaking brilliant. That's where they flipped the whole story. Now we're going from Monica's point of view, looking for too many Easter eggs. Yeah, definitely. So when they flip the story and you bring in Jimmy Woo, who we all knew from the Ant-Man movies, but again, much better characterization here. You really start liking Jimmy, and simple little things that carried over from the Ant-Man movies made Jimmy very likable, where he was not as likable in Ant-Man and the Wasp. When you get him here and you see that he's continued learning the magic and the sleight of hand stuff, and he becomes a better character here. They bring in Kat Denning from Darcy Lewis from the Thor movies. Another one you're like, wasn't she just a sidekick for Jane Foster? But here she makes a bigger role, and then Monica Rambeau. So your three characters from the outside who are involved in this, who become, it was really smart because we couldn't really identify with Wanda in this series because we don't see the pain she's going through early on. And we can't really identify with the Vision. So they gave us Darcy, Jimmy, and Monica to make them our avatars in this story. And I think that was really smart. I think it was cool to bring Monica in from Captain Marvel and show us where she's going, give her powers. I don't think anybody was fooled by Agnes being, we all knew she was going to be Agatha Harkness. We just all expected Mephisto to show up. But that third episode, or the fourth episode, is the one that brought me back into the series where it became must watch. We see Wanda go, was that the episode? Yeah, that's the episode we see Wanda go and try to get the body back. And suddenly that's where we start going, wait a minute, maybe Wanda's the bad guy here. Which turns out she kind of was. So I think it was really smart storytelling. And if I didn't have a hatred for sitcoms, I probably would have loved it from the beginning. I did like the references and stuff like that. That said, from episode 4 on, I was hooked. And it was, stay up till midnight and watch for me, which most of these have been, but some haven't, She-Hulk wasn't for me. I enjoyed She-Hulk, but it wasn't a stay up till midnight. And this season of Mandalorian wasn't for a couple episodes, but was at the end. But I thought there was good twists and turns, but there's also some stuff that got deleted that left things that don't make sense. Yeah, I'm always going to confuse the words episode and issues. It's just, and what's funny is I call comics episodes and I call TV shows issues. So that would be my issue. But yeah, there's things that got left out there. The appearance of Evan Peters as Pietro was a great surprise. I think fans really liked that. But then when they tried to explain it, it fell flat. And I know a lot of people felt that naming the character Richard Boner was a slap in the face. But that said, the name Boner was actually a tribute. Matt Shackman had got before he became a director, he was a sitcom actor. And as a kid, he was on the show Growing Pains, and then the spinoff show, I think Just the 10 of Us, so he knew the actor Andrew Koenig, I think that was who it was, who played Boner on the show, Ralph, who died. And I think naming him Boner was actually Ralph Boner, thank you, was a nod to his friend that he knew from TV. So I don't think that was the slap in the face that people tried to pretend it was. That said, the reveal didn't make a lot of sense. Also, there was a Chekhov's gun type of thing. We go to that town in the fourth episode because Jimmy is looking for a missing witness. And then we never find out who the witness is, ever. Never introduced who the witness is. And there's a lot of quirky characters in there, but not telling us who the witness was, I think, was a mistake. Also, the commercials. The commercials seem to be trying to tell us something. And I know originally the plan was that the commercials were actually messages trying to break through the hex from Doctor Strange. That was the original plan. And then they just dropped that because I think they couldn't get Benedict Cumberbatch to show up. Because of COVID, they couldn't get him on set. So that all happened. The weird ending with Darcy, how she just disappears and then shows up for like 1 second in the truck, hitting slamming into the director sword, and then she's gone again. And that also was because of pandemic. She had left and they decided they wanted her back for that scene. And then they couldn't because, again, she'd been offset for too long. I think the pandemic really caused some issues and have left a lot of stuff out there that we don't have answers to. And there's quite a bit of stuff that Marvel has like that, whether it's extreme stuff. Like, I'm still not convinced that Obadiah Stane would have tried to kill Tony Stark just to kill him. I think there needs to be a reason that he tried to kill him in Kandahar or Afghanistan or wherever it was. And the fact that there isn't one bugs me. But these are things that I think they obviously need answers to. And there are things they cut. Going back to Iron Man, how did he get to the Middle East so fast to take on the terrorists and then get back to get out of the suit? Well, they answered that in the cut scenes. He actually went and had a party at his house in the Middle East and then went back there, and they cut that and made it just not important. So there are things that try to connect those things, but sometimes they get cut for storytelling, but it leaves open questions. WandaVision has a ton of open questions, and is her powers really strong enough to create vibranium? Because the Vision is made of vibranium and she made a copy of the Vision. That's freaking powerful. And I realize she's probably the most powerful person in the MCU, but that's, just to basically create vibranium out of nothing, that seems pretty incredible. So, those are my thoughts on it. I think that it started off, again, if you didn't like sitcoms, it was rough to get started. Once it got past that and we started getting into the actual story and the emotional stuff behind it, there's still the what is grief but love persevering is still one of the best lines on TV in the last couple years. So there's some great stuff there, but there are still the open questions that I would love to have Marvel answer, even if they just come out and say it, or in a what if episode or something to connect those final dots. Either way, it's not my favorite of the series, but it's a good series. So, and for being the first TV series from Marvel Studios, I thought they did a good job. I'm looking forward to seeing what Matt Shakman does with the Fantastic Four. They definitely, you do feel the connection between Vision and Scarlet Witch. So I'm hoping that we'll get that familial connection between the Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben. So, all right, let's take our second break, and we'll come back And we'll talk about some key collectibles from the Scarlet Witch and Vision. Be right back.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find a link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.
Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join the experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did.
Go follow the experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Welcome back. Now is the time we go into our key collectibles section. That's right, that's where we talk about 11 books that pertain to our main topic that you might want to keep an eye out for or see if you've got in your collection. And if you're wondering why 11, why not 10, I don't know. Some reason I just decided that this one goes to 11. All right, we're going to kick it off with the first appearance of Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch. This goes all the way back to 1964, Uncanny X-Men number 4. This is going to cost you a pretty penny. Note she's in green on the cover. That's kind of interesting. High end here is it's a $10,000 book. Okay, you're still going to pay over $2,000 for a median copy, and over $500 even for a Thrasher low-end copy. So after that, we have the first appearance of the Vision, being the other half of WandaVision. This was Avengers number 57 in 1968, and his first appearance goes for a little over $1,000. You're still going to pay about $380 for a median copy and $115 for a low end. His origin goes all over the place. Everything from being the body of the android Torch. He's got the mental the brain patterns of Simon Williams. It's a pretty convoluted character. But then again, Wanda's origin has changed multiple times too, including being the daughter of Magneto to just being raised on Wundagore Mountain. It's all really weird. But okay, let's move on to the next book. We have Avengers number 16 from 1965. This has the Scarlet Witch joining the Avengers. Mind you, this is also a Hawkeye, Quicksilver. This was the big lineup change that took out the first lineup change that took out Thor, Iron Man, Giant Man, Wasp. It didn't last that long. A lot of those characters ended up coming back, but this was the big first shakeup they did. This one goes for about $500 in great condition. You can pick one up for about $90, maybe even $30 for a Thrasher copy. So after that, 1968's Avenger 58, the issue right after Vision first appeared, this is where he gets the brain patterns from Simon Williams, and he becomes an Avenger. Now, high end on this is 130. Probably pick it up for about $25 in the mid-range, and even as low as $9 for a Thrasher copy. Ed says, my favorite Vision comic is also my favorite What If comic. What If number 5, What If Vision has destroyed the Avengers? I remember that. That is a very good comic. All right, Avengers 76 in 1970 is the first time the Vision and the Scarlet Witch meet. Now, this goes for about $100 on the high end, probably about $30 for a median decent copy, and maybe even as low as $10 if you find one. Giant Size Avengers number 4 from 1975. This is an important issue to the Celestial Bride saga. This is the marriage of Vision and Scarlet Witch. It's also the marriage of Mantis and the Swordsman. Well, not really the Swordsman. His reanimated body by a plant alien. But this goes for about $4,400 on the high end, about a little over $1,000 for a median copy, and still going to cost you about $370 for a Thrasher copy. So, Thrasher, there's a new term. Vision and Scarlet Witch got their own mini-series in 1982. This is the first issue and the first time they got to headline their own series. I remember this one, and I have it now. A high end on this is only $8, so you could pick a copy up here, probably a couple bucks in the, maybe even in the dollar bin if you look hard enough. But the interesting thing is this next one. This is the birth of Billy and Tommy, who we see in the series. This is the 12th issue of the Vision and Scarlet Witch from '86. Now, this is more expensive because this is the introduction of those two characters, Billy and Tommy, who would go on to be Wiccan and Speed and part of the Young Avengers. $50 in the high end on this, $15 for the median, and $5 for the low. And check out those costumes on Magneto and on Wonder Man. I'm not sure why Wonder Man went for the full-on circus performer outfit there, but he did. He has a jetpack too, but that's, yeah. West Coast Avengers 52 in 1989. This is where Wanda learns her children are just a manifestation of her powers, and they're actually part of the souls of Master Pandemonium. And when he pulls them back together, they become his arms. It's really a twisted comic. And this is going to be in a dollar bin in a lot of places. You got high end, it's only worth $3, but it is a twisted storyline if you pick it up. So I would look out for this one. Fantastic Four number 94 in 1970. This is the first appearance of Agatha Harkness. This goes for $515 on the high end, $150 in the median. It's still going to cost you about $45 on the low end. She goes on to be Franklin Richards' nanny, and then eventually gets involved with the Scarlet Witch. But she starts off as a Fantastic Four character all the way back then, and old as hell. And of course, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, who we see first time as an adult in WandaVision, and she gets her powers. Her first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 16 from 1982. It's kind of weird that she appeared in a Spider-Man Annual before anywhere else. High end on this is about $125, still going to pay about $40 in the median, and about $12 for a low end copy. I think, yep, that was the last of the books. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the Mandalorian finale. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. So please, if you get a chance to watch it, come in tomorrow, have comments, have questions. We'll definitely have just a big discussion about it. Stick around today. Again, we have Comics Collectibles with Rex, John, and AR Comics, followed by Ted Sikora as the guest on the trivia show. We also have 360 Comics and Kicking It with Henri. I will be back tomorrow. Otherwise, have a great night, and we'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now.